Thank you, Rabbi Molly.
Okay, you should be good to go now.
All right, thank you so much.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. Molly Launer, will you read the English on this page for us?
I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life.
Thank you so much, Molly. So we are going to welcome in our Shabbat beloved, our Sabbath bride, our queen tonight with the tune that Josh introduced a few weeks ago. And the words are Boi Hamalka, Shalom Alechem, Malachei HaShalom. And then I think is there a little bit of English in that, Josh, or is it just the Hebrew?
This one's just the Hebrew.
Awesome. Okay. Well, it's fairly simple Hebrew, and you'll catch the tune pretty quickly. So please lead us, Josh.
Boi hamalka, boi kala, shalom alechem, malachei hashalom. Boi hamalka, boi kala, shalom alechem, malachei hashalom. Shalom, shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei Shalom. Back to the top. Boi hamalka. Boi hamalka. Boi kala. Shalom alechem. Malachei hashalom again. Boi hamalka. Boi kala. Shalom alechem. Malachei hashalom. Shalom, shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Hashalom, Boi hamalka. Boi kala, shalom alechem, malachei hashalom. Boi hamalka, boi kala, shalom alechem, malachei hashalom.
And now we do our formal welcoming of that Sabbath bride, our Sabbath queen, with the words of Lachadodi. And we're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And of course, when we get to that 9th verse, we turn towards whatever opening it is towards our house and pretend as if that presence of the divine is entering our home for 25 hours, that we get to celebrate this joy of having our beloved with us for just this finite period of time.
Lecha dodi, פני שבת נקבלה עליך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולצילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. And now we rise to, as we are able to face the entrance and welcome the bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה צוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. All right, I went too far. Okay. And now we welcome our wedding guests, our divine wedding guests, our ministering angels, our Malachei Hasharet, with Shalom Alechem. If you're following along at home with your Sidur, your actual Mishkan Tefillah, we're on page 24.
This was this week's Tefillah Tidbit, which is our last one for this first season, we'll call it. So if you did watch that, I put in an English verse that we don't have the words for here, but I'll sing that as well. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malachei Amsharei, Malachei Elyon. Bochem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyonim, Melech Malachei Amlachim, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואו לכם לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. איי איי איי, בואו לכם לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואו לכם לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. איי, ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם, צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. איי איי איי, צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליונים, מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Cause I need a sign to let me know you're here. All of these lines are being crossed over the atmosphere. I need to know that things are gonna look up, cause I feel us drowning in a sea spilled from a cup. When there is no place safe and no safe place to put my head, when you feel the world shake from the words that I said, I'm calling all the angels, yeah. Yeah, calling all the angels. Malachim, shalom alechem, malachi asharei, malachi elyonim, melech malchei amlachim, kadosh baruch hu. Shalom alechem, malachi asharei, malachi elyonim, melech malchei amlachim, kadosh baruch hu.
And so now we move into our Ma'ariv tonight, our Shabbat evening service. And we begin with the section about Shema and its blessings. Okay. So we rise as we are able now for our Barhu, our call to worship. And this is a call and response. So the first line is always said by your shlichei tzibur, by your service leaders, and then you respond in kind. Yain, hain, hai, yain, hain, hain, hai, yain, hain, 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 hai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. You may be seated. All right. Keith, would you be willing to read this for us?
Yep. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim.
Beautiful. Thank you, Keith. And so now our prayer of love, our love letter to and from God, our Ahavat Olam, page 32.
אהבת העולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
So we're finally settling in from that frantic pace of our secular week and instead beginning our weekend, but our Holy Shabbat, the day in which we are not only suggested but commanded to rest. So just find a comfortable spot on your chair. Try to let the tension in your body go. Ignore the screaming child upstairs. Close your eyes. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. All right. Let's see. Jane, Carlin, would you like to read this for us?
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Thank you, Jane. And so we enter into our Song of the Sea, our Shirat Hayam, our Micha Mocha. If you're following along at home, we're on page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
I'm not going to lie, bedtimes have been rough lately. Usually my son is the one who puts me to sleep at night. And so I'm hoping for a little bit of bedtime rest and peace this evening. And I'm sure many of you are wanting that as well. And so this prayer wishes not only that we lie down in peace, but it be a restful sleep, and that we're able to arise in the morning feeling refreshed and renewed. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, lechaim uvshalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
And as we give thanks for our Shabbat, we sing Vishamnu V'nei Israel, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant of all time.
השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל. הוציא לעולם כששת ימים, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
So before we go into Hatfilah, our Amidah, our standing prayer, I wanted to take just a moment as we are together as a community to celebrate simchas, any joyous events that you may be experiencing this month, this week. If you were on earlier, you already heard Frankie outed what my simcha is. My little boy turns 3 tomorrow. And so we're pretty excited about that. But it doesn't have to be as grand as a birthday or keeping a child alive for 3 whole years. It could be something a little bit more mundane, like you could have gardened today or seen something bloom. So what are your simchas? What do you want to share this evening?
I decided where I'm going in Africa first, and I'm going to Mauritius.
Oh, nice.
We'll be having another grandchild, a boy, in October.
B'sha'a tova.
Jill and I traveled down to Portland and saw our son Dean for the first time in 17 months. And that was wonderful. Socially distanced since he's not fully vaccinated, but great to see him.
That's amazing. Thanks, Brent.
I attended an inaugural meeting yesterday of a writers group, and I'm very excited to be a part of it.
Very cool. Thank you, David. Anyone else? Okay. So these are all sort of shehechianu moments. I don't have the words on the screen, but we could sing this together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Amen. 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 So mazel tov to all of you for big and for small simchas. We so appreciate you sharing your joy with all of us. So I'm going to bring back our visual tefillah. And if you are able, please rise. Adonai tzefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur ve'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Yula Livnei Bneihem Laman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatah Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Merofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishanei Afar Michamocha Bal Givurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua B'neiman Atah L'chayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yalu Chasela Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We take a few moments now for our own silent prayers this Shabbat evening, and when you are done, please feel free to be seated. Oh no. Oh no. Sorry for breaking everybody's wonderful moment. Not only was I not muted, but I was laughing at my husband's profile pic for Zoom account. It was our dog sleeping with a stuffed pig. We can't have pork, but he can. So Josh is going to lead us in Ose Shalom. I don't have the words up for you, but I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar, and if not, feel free to hum along.
Ose Shalom Bimroma Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'yako Yisrael Ve'yako Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru Ose Shalom Bimroma Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'yako Yisrael Ve'yako Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru Say shalom bimro ma hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru oh amen yai-da-dai
And so we think of those in our community, in our family, our loved ones who aren't able to have the kind of restful Shabbat that many of us are looking forward to this weekend because they are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. So on this weekend, this Shabbat, we ask you to think of and send prayers to our congregants, Valentin Derhovsky, Azrael Early, Rohan Early, Tara Landry, Myra Masig, Patricia Shapiro, Orly Sherman, Amy Thornton, Deborah Newmans-Castengay, Lindsay Robinson, Laura Armstrong, Stacy Hetzel, Diane Turner, Michael Sirkin-Poole, Jacqueline Tara-Smith, Kalina Suzawa, Deborah Rose, Sid Rubin, Liliana Oxsmith, Hans Wheel, Phil Grinker, Terry Callett, Pam Shane Johnson, Eileen Kreisman, Ronnie Haber, Sherry Schnabel, Carlene Ackerman, Scott Bush, Lisa Bush, Sarah Rose, Mary Wilhite, Beverly Harrison Tonda, Ann Bernstein, Ida Marks, Elaine Packman, David Green, Margaret Nichols, Philip Oranger, Vadim Barzam, and Edward Shane. Are there other names that you would like to share with the community so that we could pray for their well-being?
June Porter and Mary Brown.
Greg Minovich, Corinne Clark, and Amy and Levi Simovici.
Kenny Slotnick and Elaine Slotnick.
And now we join together in our Mishiberach prayer, our prayer for healing of mind, body, and spirit. We're on page 253.
Mishiberach Avotenu Mekor Habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. Let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So I want to take you all on a little bit of a ride, one that you will need to buckle up for and hold on tight, because it is the COVID roller coaster. We go up and we go down. Whenever you're on one of the CDC websites or even covid.wa.gov, and you look at the spikes and then the dips and then the spikes, it's enough to make anybody a little dizzy and a little sick. The other day, Rabbi Molly and I were exchanging emails and text messages about the possibility of being able to reopen someday very soon with restrictions and with precautions. But she was particularly excited because it had said something about us as a community being able to gather and actually sing as long as we have a triple ply mask. She immediately amended that and said, never mind, it looks like the governor may be sending us back to phase 2, so it's all for naught. So we go up and we go down, and we go up and we go down. And I know for many of you, these conversations have been frustrating and difficult, and we're all just hoping desperately to get back to some sense of normal, whatever that will look like once this pandemic has passed. But I wanted to address some concerns about TBT exercising an overabundance of caution. I want to correct that view because I don't believe it's an overabundance. I believe it is our Jewish values in action. If you attended my Torah study last week, we talked a little bit about the Jewish values that undergird so much of what we do, that you can do anything with the license of the Torah as long as it is to save a human life. The preservation of life, of pikuach nefesh, is so central to who we are as Jews that it isn't an overabundance of caution. It is the heart of our Jewish morals and values. I know that religion often can be seen as something wonderful and joyous, but I also want to caution that religion can be incredibly, unalterably dangerous if unchecked. What do I mean by this? So for many of you who have been attending my Torah studies, you know I'm sort of on a Malcolm Gladwell kick lately. I finished reading Talking with Strangers, which is an amazing book about the policing in our country and why it's gone so horribly awry. But I just started a new book, which is What the Dog Saw, which, by show of hands, anybody read that one? What the Dog Saw? It's fascinating. There's this entire chapter on the Catholic Church and birth control. And as I was listening to it earlier today, Gladwell pointed out that birth control, little known fact, was actually developed by a very devout Catholic. Most people don't know this, but a very devout Catholic. And he believed that he had created a medication that allowed a woman, in a very natural way, using hormones, to not have to worry about unwanted conception. What is interesting about this is not only did the Catholic Church reject him and reject any methods that they called artificial means of birth control, but the more interesting side is that he created birth control specifically for the Catholic Church. There is a certain part of birth control that are inert pills that force a woman's body, or not force, but allow a woman's body to go into its regular menstrual cycle, because this was more natural. This is what the Catholic Church would have wanted had they taken a second look at the pill. But a woman's body actually doesn't need to do this. In modern society, women menstruate far more frequently than they need to because we're not pregnant all the time. We're not breastfeeding all the time. We live longer. And so researchers have found that women who menstruate more often are far more likely to end up with ovarian cancer and breast cancer. So had the pill not been created by this very devout Catholic man, had it been created by, say, a secular woman, it wouldn't have had those inert pills. And women in modern society who were taking the pill would have been more protected from certain types of cancer. I'm bringing this piece of information not just because it's a really interesting random fact, but because religion needs to heed science. Right now, we know that COVID is a deadly pandemic. 3 million dead people and counting. And we know that we have not only a right, but a responsibility to keep our congregants safe, even if that means keeping them at home. Many churches, many Catholic churches, have gone back to in-person services. And while I see it as their religious right to do some of those things, I see it as our religious responsibility to not push forward something without fully understanding the science and how it could affect people in the future. We, as Jews, are in the business of saving lives. We say l'chaim, to life, whenever we enjoy a simcha, whenever we toast a friend. And it's because it's the most important thing to us. We don't think, as the Catholics do, as much about our eternal souls or what will happen to us in the afterlife. We think more of what's going to happen right here and now. It's one of the things that makes Judaism so precious and so beautiful to me. And so it means that we're going to have to ride this roller coaster for a little longer. We have to understand the science. We have to understand the far-reaching effects. And although it's painful for us to be away from one another, protecting each other, protecting Amcha, the people Israel, is the most fundamental thing we can do right now. So I just want to end by first thanking all of you who have logged on and put up with the Zoom shenanigans and been willing to try to make this work with almost zero complaint. I'm so blessed that there is so little kvetching in our community. But I also want to thank everybody who has served on our task force, our COVID-19 task force at TBT, to try to come up with reasonable solutions. We don't know when we're going to implement them, how we're going to implement them. Every day presents us with new facts and new information that we have to change with. But it is my hope that we will get back to something normal soon, that we will be able to gather and we won't have to worry about passing a deadly disease onto the people that we love. So thank you all for protecting one another, for being there for one another, and continuing to be a community that loves life. All right, Keith, do you have any announcements for us tonight?
I do. Good evening, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Keith Kedover, and I am one of your board members at the temple. And I just wanted to share a few things tonight. The first is that you have until April 30th to send in a um, a donation, a contribution for our no show spring fundraiser and IOU party. So as the rabbi just mentioned, eventually we will be able to be together with each other, with our community. And when we are, we're going to have a party. And that party will have music and food and drink and conversation and fun. And if you donate, if you contribute to our No Show Spring fundraiser by the 30th, you will receive up to 2 free tickets for that IOU party. You probably got a form in the mail. You can send your contribution that way, or you can click on the website in the member account area to make your donation as well. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact one of us and we will be happy to help you. There are a couple of coming soon events that you may have seen in the email newsletters that have pre-registration required. So one of those is the Jewish Coalition for Immigrant Justice Northwest's 3rd annual Share Our Harvest Shavuot fundraiser. There's a registration link in your newsletter for that if you are thinking of taking part in that, which is Sunday, May 2nd. It's a 5:30 p.m. dinner and a 6 p.m. program. And then the Pantry Upcycle Art Project, the free pantry that we have at our temple has been rescheduled to Saturday the 1st, May 1st from 12:30 to 1:30. And there's pre-registration if you would like to take part in decorating and revamping the free pantry outside the temple. And Rabbi Molly would love an email for if you would like to participate in that, to let her know that you would like to do so. So with that, I'll just say again, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for joining us on Zoom tonight. And I hope you have a very peaceful and happy weekend.
Can I add something? On Sunday, Sisterhood's sponsoring a museum tour. It's free. The link is in TBT Connects. And we emailed out also the link to the tour. It's at 11 o'clock. It's a Ruth Bader Ginsburg tour. It should be a lot of fun. It's really exciting because with Zoom, we get to go places we wouldn't normally go. So come join us for that tour.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. So we are going to turn back to our Siddur, our visual tefillah. And again, a big thank you to Andy Held and his family for providing us with these new slides. If you're missing the old art, don't worry, we're going to make these a little bit more visually interesting. But for tonight, we're just glad that we had them and are so excited to use them in future services. So heading back to our Siddur, we're on page 282 with Elenu. Please rise. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedola leyotzer breshit. Oops. And this is the fun part. Right. Let me see what happened. Yikes. Okay, hang on. Stand by. Or as our bookkeeper says, stand by one. Here we go. Wow, it's not fun. Okay, here we go. All right. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויסד הארץ. Nope, that's not the right one either. Okay, maybe we skip. We're just gonna skip the, wait. No, there's a bunch of weird ones in here. Okay. We're going to skip this one for now. You can do without Elenu. I don't think anybody's going to be heartbroken without Elenu. So go ahead and sit down. We'll fix that. All right. There we go. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. On this Shabbat evening, there are several people on our list that are observing not only a yard site, but either Shiva or Shloshim of recent deaths in their family of loved ones. So we think of all of those families tonight, including Richard Adler's father, Sidney Adler, Louis Edward Wiseman, brother of Jack Wiseman, Donna Plotnick, mother of Daryl Plotnick, and grandmother of Rabbi Molly Wiesel, and Anna Rosa de Quijada, the mother of our beloved Nestor Quijada. We also think of the yard sites, the anniversary of the deaths of Daniel Blank, Francis Capel, Becky Coppolatto, Nora Joan Clark, Annette Dover, Wayne Droker, Connie Cohen Ehrlich, Marilyn Feinsilver, Robert Frankel, Benjamin Glass, Samuel James Gordon, Albert Herman, Veronica Holtzbach, Abraham Jacobson, Alan Knopf, Bernard Packer, Betty Robinson, Howard Rosenman, Helen Ruby, Benny Shapiro, Ann C. Stusser, Abraham G. Tall, Esther Hanna Walzer, and Joan Zwillenberg. If there's somebody on the list that you are thinking of, or someone else that we haven't named, I'd like to invite you, if you wanted to share a few words about your loved one at this time. We now turn back to our Siddur with the words of Mourner's Kaddish, and we rise in solidarity with all of those who are in mourning tonight. We read together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yorotei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Israel, ba'gala uv'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei de kudasha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ve'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Israel, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Israel, v'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. I'm going to leave this as artist in residence choice, but if it's a stumper, Josh, feel free to just throw out a audio for us.
Audio is a good choice.
Okay.
Well, I'll do a mashup because I really, as you were singing, as you were speaking about the need to take care of each other, I was just thinking about one day we will be out of this pandemic, and one day we will have the foresight to act appropriately and take care. So that's really what I was going to play after your Devar. So I'll do that one quick verse and then a quick audio. Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing, and I pray don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. 'Cause all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say, we don't want to fight no more, there'll be no more war, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, yeah. One day, one day, one day we all will say, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam, Salam Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam, Salam Shalom, Salam Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam, Salam Shalom. Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, and Odyavo Shalem Aleinu, Odyavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you have a restful 25 hours of peace. Thank you, Josh, for dealing with a different type of roller coaster tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off our live stream now. Shabbat Shalom to all of you watching in the interwebs. We will see you hopefully next week.